Hello, superstar artists. I thought today we could just do something really quick, but quite fun, which is turning 2D shapes into 3D shapes. And we'll just do a few, and that way you know how to turn. The first, best, and the most important one, I think, really to learn first is turning a square into a cube. So it goes from 2D shape, two-dimensional, to a three-dimensional shape. So it goes from square to a cube. Now, some of you, if you're in upper key stage 2, you may know how to do this already. But if you don't, then please, let's give it a go, because it's something quite fun to know how to do. It helps you as you're going up through secondary school. It really helps to be able to sketch these out when you're doing your maths as well, and just for fun really, and just for building structures. Okay, so it's very straightforward too. There's no great science to it. So I'm just going to put this over here so that you can see. So the first thing we do is we draw our square. Now don't worry about using a ruler. We're just sketching these because I just want you to get the idea of what you need to do. Okay, so I haven't used a ruler to draw these. I've just done them freehand. And you can, if you're in key stage 1, then yes, that's fine. Get an adult maybe to help you draw your first square. But really it's just about getting the idea of what we need to do. If you have square paper, it does help. But if you don't have square paper, it doesn't matter. I don't have square paper, and lined paper makes it more complicated. So don't worry about lined paper. Okay, so this is our first square. So we're going to turn this square into a 3D shape. So what we need to do is you're going to draw this face again. Okay, this face of the square. So the front face. So you just go over it like this. Okay, you can see behind the one that I've already drawn what we're going to do. So what you need to think about is where the face that goes opposite this face is. So I'm going to do it in a different color actually. I'm going to do it in red. And what might help you to do is basically decide how big your square is going to be, and maybe take 2 pinky fingers across and 2 pinky fingers up. So 1, 2. And you put your dot that's going to be the base of your square. Okay, and you draw your line across. It goes across the first line of the square. So now you draw your line from dot to dot. Try and make it the same distance as this, basically. If you want to use a ruler, you can. I've done it freehand, but that's fine. If you measured it and it's 6 centimeters, then make this 6 centimeters. Okay, but you don't have to. It's just to give you an idea. And then you're going to do the same. You're going to follow with your eye. You're going to come up, and this same distance that you have here, so 2 pinky fingers up and 2 pinky fingers across, you're going to do the same and put your dot up here. And then you follow this line up and you do the dot. And then you do your line across. Okay? And then you join your lines. So 1, 2. So now basically you have 1 square, 2 squares overlapping each other. And then I'll use another pen. You can see how we join them up. You join the corners. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and suddenly your shape is magically transformed. Shall we do that one more time? I'll do it one more time because it can get confusing, and there's actually lots of different ways of doing it. Okay, but let's see. So let's do it this way. So I'm going to try and do it without, so that you can't see the bottom one as much, so that it's not as confusing. We ready? So basically you've got your front square. Yeah. And now I'm going to decide where to put how big I'm going to do it. So I'm going to come up 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm going to put my dot around here. And then my square is about just over a pinky finger. So about there. Yeah. If you want, if it helps, draw the line first so that you can see where it is. It's gone down a bit, that's fine. And then my should be about the same distance up, shouldn't it? So pinky finger and a bit up along here. Put my dot, it's in line. And again, so I'm looking, it's in line. Remember, we're just practicing, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want you to have an idea of how to do it. And then you can use a ruler, try and make it, because obviously a square should be exactly the same, and so should a cube, should have all sides exactly the same. So now this is where it can be confusing, and you can think, well, I've done the 2 squares, I'm not too sure what to do next. So you just need to always work the same way round. So I find that the best one to start with actually is this bottom one. So from this one to this one, this corner to this corner, or this vertice to vertice, from this one, this vertice here to this vertice, and then here we go, and there you've got your 3D shape again. Suddenly you can imagine something being inside it. You can imagine it an empty shape. Yeah. Now there's lots and lots of different 3D shapes that we can do. So we shall try. Shall we do a different one? We'll do a cuboid. Now a cuboid, what we just did was a cuboid in actual fact, but it's a cube, because cuboids can be rectangle, any sort of 4-sided shape. We're going to turn a rectangle. So I'm going to do a rectangle on its, turn it into a 3D shape, into what you would call a cuboid. So here we've got our rectangle. And then you're going to use the same. So I'm not going to make it maybe go as far. So I'm going to go maybe just a finger across and a finger in. And a finger across and a finger in. Up, by in I mean up. And I'm going to do my lines, because that just, in my case, that helps me. So I find it a finger across, a finger up. I make sure it's in line. Finger across, finger up. I make sure it's in line. And I come down. And down. And now I'm going to join my corners or my vertices. So I'm going to, let's do it always the same. And then I suppose we'll join this bottom one here, here, and this one here. And suddenly you've got what could be a building. You could turn that into some sort of building. Okay, you can see the shape inside, that there's space inside. Visually, it looks now as if there's space inside, which makes it a 3D shape. We could also do turn a triangle into a pyramid. So I do it just on this sheet of paper here. So here's our triangle. Now we're going to make it into a square-based pyramid first. So the first thing you do then, if it's going to be a square-based pyramid, is you do your square. So I'm going to draw a square. So this is one side of my square. 2. Now the key here is it has to have an angle. By an angle, I mean it doesn't go straight up. Do you see when I drew this first line, I drew it at an angle, it went in. This one the same, and then you join it along the back. And now you need to think of your other edges. So you're going to, let me see, what color shall we use? Oh, here's the red. And you come from this point here, the vertice, you join it down to 1. Vertice down here, and now you're coming down, you're going to have another edge, straight line down to this. And now you have a square-based pyramid. If you wanted to make a triangular-based pyramid, all we need to do is we are going to still do our triangle. So again, just do it freehand. But this time, instead of drawing a square inside it, you draw a triangle inside the triangle. So you've got 2 triangles. Can you see it? Smaller one. And now, this one's much easier. All you need to do is draw that line there. And there you've got your triangular base pyramid. And you've actually got it because you've got 1 side, 2 sides, and 3 sides with this first big one. This one looks a bit odd because I haven't done it that well. If I made it, I think I made this triangle inside too big. So let me just do it again here. See if I can make it so that visually it doesn't look so odd. I think maybe you need to make the triangle, yeah. You need to make this triangle. I made this one too big in here. Make it a bit smaller and it will work better. There you go. Okay. So this is a triangular based pyramid, and then I'll just do the square based pyramid again for you just so that you have it. So you've got your pyramid, your triangle, sorry. And then you're going to do your square. Okay. And then you're going to join up the vertices to make your other edges. Okay. And there you go. So it's the base that defines the name of it. This one I've made it a little bit rectangular so it doesn't look as good as it could, but you could make it better, couldn't you? Okay. So let's go back. I'd love to see some of you see if transforming, and then if you can challenge yourself, because there's lots and lots of shapes, isn't there, turning some of the more complicated shapes into 3D shapes from 2D, be it pentagon or a hexagon, or you could show me other shapes like you could transfer, I'll show you this one, you could transfer a well, use your shading skills to make, if I quickly draw a circle and use your shading skills to transfer, make a circle into a sphere. And that you can do by adding, and I know some of you will know how to do this, some shading. Imagine that you know where the light's coming from, and then you just need to add a little bit of shading. And this is really good practice for your shading skills for art, okay? Because as soon as you add a bit of shading, it starts to make a 2D shape look 3D, okay? Same if you had a triangle, well, a cone, but if you had a triangle and you give it a little bit of a, it's not actually a triangle there, it's a section of a circle. But if then this section of the circle you add some shading to it, imagine the light's coming from over here, and then we turn it into a cone. Okay. So see what shapes you can show me that you can turn from a circle into a sphere, section of a circle into a cone. Okay. You could also, cone has a circular base, doesn't it? So you actually need to, you can imagine if I took the shading out here, that circular base there is another way of doing it without the shading. Okay. Right. I look forward to seeing some of your transformations from 2D to 3D.